What's going on, everybody? It's me, Ryan, here for the first episode, basically, with all of the coronavirus stuff going on. From here on out, we're going to be posting as many episodes as we can, just because this stuff is going to become kind of a light for some of you guys, especially me, getting the opportunity to record episodes with people who are also stuck in quarantine. We can't go outside, or we can't go and physically see each other. I'm hoping that this podcast, the podcast that was created to help share people's stories through mental health and addiction and pain, and to share stories of triumph and joy and passion and dreams and people's businesses and creative endeavors. So I hope I can continue to do that with the weeks and months that are, coming. And today we have another episode. So let's get into it. It is with Dajon. For whatever reason, I always had trouble with his name, but it's Retro Reese. It's a guy who does also what I do with vintage clothing. I was able to finally meet him at a sneaker convention, and I've always followed him from afar, and he's such a great guy. But he talks about his experience with gambling, and he talks about how quickly he became entrapped in it and how bad it got, but how vintage clothing kind of helped take him out of that, which is kind of a little cool twist. But it's the normalization of gambling, addiction, and now how he's trying to give back to kids and prep them through addiction and prevention and gambling prevention and just awareness. It's a really cool story, guys, so I hope you enjoy it. Today is episode 51 of the Classic Buffalo Podcast. Here we go. What's going on, Dajon? Retro Reese, the reseller. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Just,
Another day in paradise, They always say.
Living a dream.
Do your friends call you Retro? Or, what do they call you?
It's crazy, man. Just the whole Retro Reese thing just kind of stuck. Reese is my last name, so a lot of people actually just refer to me as Reese. A lot of people think my first name is Reese when it's actually my first name is Dajon, but Reese is kind of easier for people to remember. So,
well, then your logo for Instagram is Reese's Pieces.
Yep, it's definitely a Reese Cup logo, so it's definitely fire. So, yeah, man.
So you resell kind of like what I do.
Exactly what you do. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're over in Columbus, Ohio, not Indiana. There's another Columbus.
Yep, Columbus, Ohio, man. And, right here in the capital city.
Dude, have you always been out there?
Yes. I was born and raised in Columbus, so been here all my life, man. And yeah.
What's it like growing up in Columbus?
Everyone knows everyone, I feel like, especially growing up in the inner city. Seems really small to me, but other people that I know that, either move here or they're like, man, Columbus is huge. So we have so many different outskirts, suburban areas where, we got Canal, Westerville, Gahanna, these different pockets that are super huge. So I definitely love it though, man. I love it here.
So did you say you're from the inner city? Did you say that?
Yep.
Man. We're how close to being in a really bad area were you? Or were you able to still, even though you were in the inner city, you were able to be, somewhat removed from it?
I've kind of been all over Columbus, to be honest. As a kid, man, I was moved around, kind of just different family members' households. So primarily grew up on the south end of Columbus. So a lot of my family grew up in the area called Lincoln Park on the south side. So it's kind of cleaned up now, but traditionally it's been it's like a project, basically. But yeah, man, just throughout my childhood, just kind of bounced around, and so I got different views on different parts of the city. So
yeah, can you talk any more about growing up?
My mom has four boys. I'm the oldest. My dad has 8 kids, and I'm the third oldest. So again, I said I was, I definitely was moved around a lot. My mother had me when she was, 15. Pregnant at 14, had me at 15. So, situation happened with my grandmother to where I was moved at an early age removed from my mom's care. her being young, her in and out of foster care. So I was moved around and, went into custody with my father's grandmother who raised me until she, passed away at a very young age, which she
Mm.
passed at like 45, 46 years old.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, my dad then, was, my caregiver at that point, had to get his act together and, he didn't really
Mm.
know too much about, raising kids. So, he already had two. So he just kind of had to figure it out. And, my grandmother was like, hey, you need to make sure that, Dajon is good. So he made sure that I had, stable housing, whether it be with, aunties, cousins, older cousins of mine, or like his first cousin. So, we made it work. And that's how I ended up being all over the city, man, from
Hmm.
south side to, the west side, north side. I've been, basically every part of this city. So,
Would you
yeah.
change the way you grew up?
That's a question, man. I've thought about it. Like I would love to, to have been raised by, mom and dad in the same home. But I feel like if I was to change that, that would change who I am today. You know what I mean? I feel
Mm.
like me being able to, see different family dynamics because one of my older cousins, she was married, and she had kids, and I lived with them for a good portion of my childhood. So I got to see like how a married couple worked. I got to
Hmm.
see how a single family household worked. I got to see all these different family dynamics, and I think that just kind of shaped who I am today. So I probably wouldn't do it all over again. When I do have children, I definitely want be married and and raise my kids with in a two-parent household. But I think for me growing up, that's kind of just made me who I am today. So I wouldn't
Hmm.
change it.
Do you think that's kind of what made you get into like the mental health field that you are now? Like kind of the way you grew up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of just wasn't something that I grew up like, oh, I'm gonna go into the mental health field. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things where, you see it all around you. The addiction and drugs and alcohol was
Hmm.
was definitely around as I was a kid, and family members have dealt with it and have overcame it. So it's always been something that in my face, and I kind of just fell into the field because I work in alcohol and drug prevention now. So I do prevention education with youth, in the communities that I grew up in. So
Mm.
it kind of just worked out. But I think with the family history of it, it kind of has been something that I've definitely been passionate about, and so it just kind of feels good to be back in the community talking about it and educating
Yeah.
young people about it.
Yeah. Do you have like a cool story that came from that last couple of years of doing it?
Yeah, so for me, man, my never had like a struggle with alcohol or any other drugs, but my thing was the gambling piece.
Mm.
Growing up in our community, gambling was something that we saw was fun. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
those were different games that we would come up or traditions we had as a family, like playing card games such as Rummy, Tunk. Once I got started and I saw that it was fun, like we would do like little friendly bets, like here and there, dollars. Just as I kind of got older and kind of got more into it, started to really, find myself like, man, this may be something that kind of has a hold on me. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
in 2016, it kind of really hit rock bottom for me. Like, really started going to the casino. Like once I turned 21,
Yeah.
which I'm 30 now, so this has been some years now. I turned 21 and finally went to an actual casino, and I realized like, wow, these games in here are different than like shooting craps in my neighborhood is. So it was just something I kind of dabbling with, going to the
Hmm.
casino, to where it became, I was all in, found myself going, in there all day, you know what I mean, type
Dang.
stuff. So I had to get treatment, had to, go to counseling, to really, to help me, with and fight off, this addiction. And,
Hmm.
I didn't think like, oh, gambling is something that, we see they people gambling on football games and things like that. So it wasn't to me something that I felt was like could be an addiction or was an addiction such as like
Hmm.
alcohol and drugs, but just being in the field that I'm in now, understanding like the different chemicals that things that are released in the brain, like when you are gambling, like it could be even scarier than alcohol and drugs. You know what I mean? Because you're not even taking a drug, and your
Right.
brain, or you're doing these things. Yeah. So for me, man, it kind of got out of control where I actually needed, help from, outside sources to deal with it. So I've been, this May will be, 3 years for me clean on,
Mm.
not gambling. So, I just kind of deal with it like, seriously, like this is something that's serious. And, people in my family still deal with the gambling, or, it could be
Yeah.
scratch offs and lottery and, things like that in our community. I feel like it's a big issue, and a lot of people don't really see it as an addiction. But I mean, it could be worse. It could be one of the worst addictions, of them all. To be honest.
It seems like you would just see it as like, oh, it's just charades, it's just board game night, it's just Monopoly. Like you could easily
Yeah,
just have that type of attitude. Because I mean, my family did all that stuff, minus the
yeah.
gambling. Like, but for you, if you see it all the time, you could
hmm
easily just be like, oh, it's just game night.
And it's just like the language too, man. With gambling, like, we don't even think about some of the like terminology we use. Like, okay, like yeah, bet. You know what I mean? Just
Mm.
like I hear that like on the regular, just with kids at like schools, they'll be betting on like, oh, I bet you won't hit that shot, or you know what I mean? Like just in the language when sometimes they're not actually putting up money. It could be betting for some lunch, some chips, or things like that. And this is the language that we're using, and it's just like as you get older and you really start to think about this stuff, it's like, man, you get fed this language at a very young age, and you really don't even know that you're gambling. But yeah, that's what it is. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So
How
um,
quickly can somebody kind of fall into addiction or into gambling? Like, do you think what if you were to percentage it? And I'm not asking you to be necessarily an expert, but what's your kind of guess as to like who falls into it and then who like maybe makes that choice?
higher chance to become addicted, and whatever that is, if it's around you. So if it's in the
Mm,
family, in the household, you definitely have a higher chance of becoming addicted. I think my chances of it, just because it was around me, was a lot higher than someone who obviously would not be around it. You know what I mean? So I think it's very easy to become addicted to anything. If it's gambling, alcohol, marijuana, whatever that is, I think it could be very easy. But again, I think your chances just are a lot higher depending on where you grew
hmm.
up, how things are marketed to you, your family dynamics, or what have you. So I think it's definitely easy to get wrapped in and
Yeah.
to become addicted for sure.
So how did you get out? Or like what would be, let's say I'm you, but years prior, like I'm in the middle of it, I have an addiction, I have something, let's say I'm that person. What advice would you give to that type of person?
I want to take a support system. That support came from because a lot of people don't understand, like with gambling is something that you can hide. It really doesn't. People can't look at you and know that you're a gambler.
Hmm.
It really takes for you to hit rock bottom for people to really actually see it. Because if it's just you, like for me, I don't have kids, don't have someone that was like a huge. I mean, I support my family, but I was still able to do that even in the gambling. But the average person wouldn't be able to look at me and be like, "Oh, this guy is a gambler." I
Hmm.
didn't really notice that until it started affecting like my finances, or maybe relationships and things like that. So I definitely would say you got to have that support system, and then also you got to be willing to accept that and know that you have a problem. I think that's like one of the big steps that they teach you in like AA. I mean, you got to actually admit that you have an issue and you have a problem. And once you confront that, I think you're able to, find those supports that you need, and to really, tackle on treatment, whatever treatment that looks like for, whatever the addiction is.
What was you in middle school, high school? What was going on? Were you playing sports? Like talk a little bit about that.
Kind of growing up, grade school age, played football growing up. That was kind of like my main hobby sport was football, basketball. So middle school, same route, was in football, basketball as well. So I always had that sports, kind of like background growing up. So I think that, sports definitely helped me with that discipline and just, leadership and kind of like structure.
Hmm.
So with the whole gambling piece, kind of that all kind of started around that area. I had to be around, 12, 13 when I really started liking it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is something that I really like, and especially started winning, and I felt like I was real lucky. I would be beating all my friends, cousins, brothers, like. I was winning, so I'm like, oh, I'm a lucky person, and I didn't really see it as luck. I'm like, I'm thinking I'm skilled at, these games of chance, right? So, yeah, so you just playing football, basketball throughout that, my middle school time, and then kind of like high school. I remember my dad would like give me lunch money. I would be, playing friends of mine from, with the lunch money, playing, card games at school. So it started to
Dang.
translate, I would take my lunchtime and we'd be in there playing cards, and betting, then I remember a time in middle school, I was on the basketball team and a bunch of the basketball players inside the bathroom shooting dice. And one of the coaches, like a mentor to us, came in like, "What you guys doing in here?" And I was, A and B student, man, 3.0s. I always was on honor roll throughout high school, middle school. They're like, "What you doing in here shooting dice?" You know what I mean? And we would just get caught, and we would take it somewhere else, and kind of start shooting dice somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, those were some things that I would do in school, is like shooting dice during lunch or recess, or playing like card games. And that's kind of where it started. And then I was working at Kroger when I
Shout
was in
out.
college, going to Capital. Yeah, big plug to Kroger. That's the squad. But yeah, I was working at Kroger, and then this is while I was in college. Paying, helping me pay
Where'd
off
you go to
college or
college?
whatever. Capital University. Graduated from Capital University.
Okay.
Right here in Columbus. I started to play scratch offs because I worked behind the customer service desk. So, I would see them refill the lottery and see who was coming in. I would be the guy ringing up people's lottery tickets, and some people will come in winning a lot of money. But those are the people that's coming there every day playing their numbers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Things like that. So I kind of like, oh, let me try to start doing these scratch offs. So that's kind of where it started. Where it kind of got out of control was with the scratch offs. I'd be on my lunch breaks, buying scratch offs, and really have to, what I mean, like spending a lot of money at it. And I wouldn't win much, but I did win every once in a while, but I would be doing it. And then, a couple of years later, they opened up the casino finally here in Columbus. And I was like, oh, let me go check this out. Win a couple times, lost. I'm like, man, and I would normally go with people. And then I got really heavy into the addiction. I would always go alone. I would never go with anyone, because obviously it was something that, I wasn't necessarily hiding it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't really feel comfortable, having someone else there, maybe like monitoring, what I'm doing, how I'm spending my money, I mean, that kind of thing. So I was kind of concealing it. But yeah, it just kind of got out of control with the casino. And that was like my game of choice was, blackjack. Kind of started off with craps, but I really didn't like it because it was kind of too slow for me. So blackjack, I think one time, man, I was playing, I kid you not, I was playing in the high limit, at the casino, and I won every single hand.
What?
Every single hand. Like, I kid you not, I literally was playing about maybe like around about $400 a hand. And I
Whoa.
played and I literally won every single hand in the high limit. I've never done this ever again. But I'm like, what is happening? Like, I mean, I didn't increase my bets or anything. I just literally just kept my money out there and kept sliding money back. Like, literally every single hand. And this is how far in my addiction I was. And I think this kind of, some people could walk away. You know what I mean? I think that's where like the line of addiction with gambling is. Like, some people have like a limit. They're like, okay, well, if I lose this, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right. And I was, to the point where there wasn't an amount of money that I could win or an amount of money that I could lose for me to walk away. And I think that's kind of like the dividing line between, someone who's like, a compulsive gambler, like myself. So, I mean, literally won every hand, bro, like every single hand. And guess I cashed out with maybe about 5,500.
Oh my God.
About $5,500. Went cashed out, and literally came right back into the high limit room. Came right back in, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna play maybe another hand just to see if my luck is running like that. Got wrapped back in. Next thing I know, I'm back. I done lost at least half of the money that I won. So you know what I'm doing? I'm still in there sitting there trying to trying to play again, trying to get that money back. It was always like chasing it.
Yep.
And that's just one of the stories that I got as far as, just to kind of show you, how that addiction kind of takes over, and it's just, you can't control it.
Mm-hmm. It's so weird going to the casino for the first time too. I remember. I don't know, man. It's a surreal, like Matrix like experience where just everyone's sad or everyone's upset and smoking and drinking, and you can't tell what time it is, and
then it's crazy, bro, because working in prevention now, I've been to different trainings where they're talking about this gambling stuff, and I'm pretty knowledgeable about it now. But even from the sounds of when you walk into a casino, the lighting, like everything, even down to the lighting, it's to get you hooked on the sounds, just like different things that just the atmosphere of a casino. Like those slot machines and the lights, all of that stuff, man, is are triggers to your brain. It's crazy now, like being out of it and like seeing the other side of it. There's kind of some of the things and tactics that they use, to kind of get people hooked.
How have you like kind of worked on your self-worth to be like more than a gambler, if that makes sense? Like I'm more than my addiction. Like I have this passion for people and prevention, like how did you get there? Because I'm sure you're probably closer to that. Obviously we all have room to work, right? But it seems like you've done a little bit of work to kind of work on self-worth and self-improvement, and like what things did you do to kind of get there?
I think it took for me to really to begin to like lose certain things that I always had access to, for me to realize like this thing was a problem. So some of the things I would do, man, really prayer. That was something that helped me for sure. Was prayer, having that support system, from close friends and family, people that were aware of what I was dealing with, so that they can keep me accountable. One thing that I was into was, working out. That was something that, that was an outlet for me, is, playing ball, getting some cardio in and like working out. Me being in the prevention field, you're a counselor, or, you're someone that is always, caring for other people, and, that self-care isn't there. You know what I mean? So really had to, to really look at, what self-care, what was I doing to take care of self. So I began to get back to those things. Once I, was going through, to different, meetings for gambling, and, meeting with my counselor, who was at Maryhaven at the time, meeting with her, just on a regular, and doing that, and just, having that support system in place. I feel like those are, a combination of things that kind of helped me get through it, to where now, I'm still doing those things, and, working with youth, and, giving back to my community. I've even, done like presentations with Maryhaven where I'm, talking about my gambling, and just sharing my testimony and my story with other people, and definitely in my community, so that I can, make a difference. And because there's a lot of people, dealing with, young people as well that's dealing with, because I would go into casinos, man, you'd be amazed about how many young people are in there. Because a lot of people are like, oh, gambling only really affects, the older population. You'll see a lot of older people in there who has that, they got that income that they don't have, have too much they're spending their income on. So they're in the casinos or whatever. But there's a lot of young people that are dealing with this gambling thing as well. But I think a lot of them, don't see it as an addiction and just see it as like a game, you know what I mean? Kind of like a hobby thing. But a lot of people dealing with it, man. So for me, just, getting back to that self-care, for me, I think that's something that helped me in finding those different, hobbies and coping skills that, I love to do to kind of get me back on track.
What are your thoughts on therapy?
I definitely think it helps, man. Like, it definitely helps, but, getting those thoughts out, how you feeling, you know what I mean? Like getting those thoughts out, and, getting it out with somebody that's far removed from the situation. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to talk to, family members about what you're going through or whatever. But I think, having someone you can talk to that is outside of the situation, I think that's very helpful. Just because there's no judgment, you know what I mean? And someone that is educated and, specialized to, you know what I mean, to give you some statistics or give you some actual, information, about whatever the addiction is that you're dealing with. Some, things that you may not even have thought of or may not even knew about. So.
Did you ever have to like specifically struggle with anxiety, depression, or mental health issues, or have those kind of just been in the background part of it?
There's a such thing as like secondary depression or like secondary anxiety, like because I feel like just growing up where I grew up, there was definitely trauma, in my households that I was in. So just seeing things at an early age or being exposed to different things, I think I definitely had some anxiety, what I mean, and some things there. As far as the depression, I feel like that came along with the addiction. Just things like worrying about finances or different things like that. I think the depression kind of came along with that. Not really need any depression prior to the gambling addiction, but definitely like the anxiety, and different like traumas that came along with kind of how I was brought up and the seeing things and being exposed to different things at an early age, for sure.
When did thrifting start for you?
I started thrifting. I used to hate the thrifts, actually, man. Going as a kid, I used to remember my grandmother would go, and I used to wonder, like thinking back now, like what was these little bags that had all these little trinkets in it? You know what I mean? Like with all these different like necklaces and things like that. So we would go all the time when I was a kid, but I just didn't really have too many memories about it. But I do remember like those little bags that they just put a bunch of crap in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But like thrifting on a personal level for me was really like around like college, like early college, like so around like 18, 19 years old. I remember at Capitol we had like a lip sync battle. And so we were like looking for different outfits, 80s, 90s outfits or whatever, so that we could perform in. And I would really find some dope stuff. Like I remember one of the dopest jackets I found was like a Mighty Duck starter jacket, like stuff that I wore as a kid. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, I would wear this stuff out, and I began to start shopping there myself. Like, and people would be like, oh, that's dope. I like that jacket. Like, you want to sell it? And I'm like, I'm not really into, selling stuff at this point. But I really started, finding more like nicer, doper stuff. You know what I mean? And I would get those people that'd be like, that's dope. You trying to sell this or whatever? And that's when it really started to kick in, because I was always into sneakers growing up. So shoes that was my thing. Like growing up, like I always wanted, some fly kicks or whatever. So I think the thrifting mixed with like my passion for, like being into the sneakers kind of just, made me go harder more at the thrifts and finding those things that I loved as a kid.
Yeah. Now you're here 12 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy because like even while I was going through the addiction with gambling, I would still be thrifting. Like that was like outlet for me. Like, you know what I mean? So it's crazy because I would be in the thrifts like 24/7. Like after going to the casino, I would go to thrifts. You know what I mean? Or vice versa. Like that was always something that I was still doing. You know what I mean? Like even with my finances, you know what I mean? Kind of being hit a little bit, but I think the thrifting just kind of took off because I was selling on eBay and selling on these other platforms, and I, was still bringing in money for me. And it was actually, I loved it. Made me feel good, like going thrifting and finding, and I think thrifting could be an addiction. Like going to the thrifts, it's like you get a rush. You see that piece just hanging there, like whoa, wrestling, not, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, you see like whoa,
the grail.
It's a thrill. Yeah, you get it. You get that rush, man.
And it's only $2. Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. It's a different kind of feeling though, different kind of rush. You know what I mean? Like I think the gambling was replaced for me, with the thrifting, man. And because they say once you're addicted to something, you just find something else to replace it. You know what I mean? And I think I replaced it with, a healthier habit, addiction,
Right. When did you start your Instagram?
Got to be at least now, maybe 5 years, because I started my original Instagram when I was in college. So I didn't have my selling page. I think I started my personal page when I was like a sophomore or junior in college. And so I don't think I started my personal page until maybe a year or so after that.
So where's the farthest you've traveled thrifting? Because you do travel. Like you come over to Indy, like you would do that like it's nothing. And I think you've been farther out than that, but like where's the
Yeah,
farthest you've
yeah, yeah,
gone?
for sure. The furthest that I've gone, Dallas. I think that was the furthest that I've gone, and done like some thrifting. I did Sneaker Con Dallas. I normally do all the Sneaker Con events just because, one, I love just traveling, and seeing different places. But I know
Mm-hmm.
Sneaker Con is like one of the largest like events that I do,
Have you
and I
met
would
like
never
some of the
do.
famous people, like kind of like in the thrifting community? Have you met like anyone from Round Two, or maybe Paul
Oh yeah, yeah.
Cantu or Slobby Robbie?
Bought stuff off of Paul Cantu. He always does the Sneaker Con events as well. So I've met him.
Is he
I've
just
met
as crazy in person?
Oh yeah, man. He's like a super cool dude, man. Like everyone that I met in Texas was like straight up like super dope vibes. Like everybody was like so down to earth, man. Like their hospitality there was, super dope. Like everybody was like just super like welcoming to the city for sure. Yeah, he was dope.
What's like one of your favorite stories through thrifting? Whether someone you met, an experience you had, something like that, anything like really cool?
And I was at a thrift one time and I found this T-shirt. Man, I didn't really even know what it was at the time, and I love when people put stuff back. Like if you're
Yeah.
eyeballing something,
Yep.
and like you're like, oh man, I hope they put it down. I hope they put that
Yep.
down. I hope they
Yep.
put it down. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
and it just so happened that they put it down, and I'm like, oh, looking at the shirt, like, oh, because it looked crazy just from a distance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I ended up doing some research on it, and it was an MC Etchard, the
Oh
House
my
of
God.
Stairs shirt, like a super wild one. And I'm like, I still was like trying to find it. I'm like, this is a painting. I believe this is a painting. So I like did some research on it. I think I posted on my Instagram. Somebody like hit me up about it. Was like, yeah, bro, how much you want for it? And I was like, I really don't know. And he's like, I'll give you 50 for it. I'm like, let me
Oh.
think on it. And he like just kept hitting me up about it. So I'm like doing more research. I'm like, this gotta be something crazy. But I'm like, I can't really, nothing. I couldn't find anything. Then I finally found like the painting. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like lowballing myself crazy on
Yep.
this. So like I put it on eBay for like, I'll be reaching sometimes on eBay just to see. But I put it on eBay for like $350
Yeah.
and ended up selling for like $280. So I wasn't
Oh my
mad. But yeah,
God.
just like the person they put it back, and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, and just doing my research on it, and yeah, that was crazy. That's like one of the craziest probably like flips on like a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Was probably that. But no, another quick, real short story though.
Yeah.
I was in a thrift store one time, man, and Volunteers of America, and I saw it was like literally like 15 items like in a row. I was freaking out. I'm like, how is there so many crazy pieces just lined up like this, right?
Uh-huh.
So then I got my cart. I like put them all in my cart, and then this guy he like runs up with a cart. He's like, "Yo, bro, that was all my stuff." And I
Oh
was like,
my
"Huh?"
God.
I'm like, "What do you mean that was your stuff?" He was like, "Yeah, like I was just ran back to get a cart," and I'm in my mind, I'm like, either he's like lying, he see me grabbing all this crazy stuff, or like this was literally his stuff because it was like,
Yeah.
I don't think it was a coincidence that it was all lined up. But you get those days where you might just find a crazy haul. So
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, bro, like how, like why would you put it down? You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like I should have just gave it to him, but I didn't because I'm like, dude, why would you sit? No thrifter is going to sit their stuff down and then literally go get a cart. I'm going to carry it to the cart.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like, but I ended up putting some of the pieces back because I just didn't want everything that was there.
Yeah.
But like other pieces,
He
I'm
was
like,
just
bro,
following you the
like
whole
I
time.
can't literally follow me the whole time, trying to wait for me to put the stuff back. And I put a few items back. I was like, I really don't want this stuff. I'm just grabbing it because I was all like together or whatever. But I ended up putting some of the stuff back. But I was just like if that was me, I would have not sat any of that stuff. Like I'm not gonna. I don't. Once you put stuff back, bro, it's like somebody's gonna get it. Like that's like an item you go in a thrift store. He's like, I'm gonna come back on sale day. You better hide it really well, or otherwise you're gonna come back and it's gone.
I kind of hate that because it's like, is the margin so low for you that you want to hide it for sale day? Like, just buy it because my luck, it's gone.
Yeah, like here, like in Columbus, man, some of these thrift stores are getting outrageous though. Like I've been in stores where like clearly, like, this isn't, you guys are doing this all, you profiting off of, like, resellers are going to come in here and like spend the money on it. But I done
Yeah.
seen some ridiculous prices, like on champion jerseys, like
God, I
starter
hate stuff,
jackets. Like,
man.
it's like ridiculous. It's getting out of hand.
Sweet, man. Well, we're going to do our final 5 questions. They're kind of quick hit. Number 1, 2020 goal.
2020 goal is, man, is the have a storefront.
What? Dude, I hope you do.
Yeah, that's the goal.
You deserve one.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. TV or cartoon universe you would love if it was real and you could live in?
Something sports related for me, like anything sports related. I don't have a specific, but yeah, I'm gonna just be real general with that one. Anything sports related.
How old should you be before you get social media?
Oh my goodness, great question. I would say middle school age.
All or just one?
I say like for all, I would probably start like maybe like 6th grade, man, because I feel like kids got so much going on in school.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Grail that you thrifted before or the one that you haven't found yet?
Rap tees, man. Like, I struggle to find
Yeah.
any rap tees. Like, the day that I find a rap tee, that's going to be great. I don't care what kind of rap tee it is. Like, I don't have a specific one, but
Yep.
I think just finding a rap tee would be, a grail find for me for sure.
What is your favorite part about yourself?
I would say my drive, man. Just always striving to, wanting better and wanting more, and striving in my community, making a difference. Like, just being passionate about that.
All right, man. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pick one person, either significant other, family member, best friend, whoever you want, but you're shouting them out like, hey, Janice from 8th grade, thanks so much for pushing me to do this or that, or you're an awesome person, but you're just pouring into another person. So pick whoever you want, take as long as you want to pour into them, and you can pick anybody you want.
This would be my grandmother, man, who passed away at a very young age. I was, about 7, 8 years old when she passed. But, Grandma, I would just say, I appreciate you for all the, the unconditional love, man, because that's the one thing that I now just I pour out and give to, the world now is unconditional love to family, to friends, whoever. And I appreciate, just that unconditional love that I received as a kid, being moved around. That was always something that was my stability, is that unconditional love. So I really appreciate that, Grandma, and hopefully, I'm making you proud.
Shout out to Grandma.
Yeah, shout out to Grams.
All right, man. Well, hey, plug your stuff if people want to keep in touch. If someone's in the Columbus area, like they want to come see you when you have your own store, like shout out.
Yeah, definitely.
What you want to shout out?
Yep. So it's retro, and that's retro 2_ Reese. Reese spelled like Reese cup with an S. You can find me on Instagram. Under that, I also have a page for jerseys by Retro Reese. Also on Instagram as well, and that's all one word. I'm also on Depop. So if you're looking to purchase, like online, you can follow me on there to purchase stuff from the store, and that's Holy Grail by Retro Reese. Yeah, man, and if you're in the Columbus area, hopefully we'll have this store soon, and I'm always doing pop-ups. So at all the sneaker cons, any show in Columbus or the surrounding areas, Indiana, Michigan, that kind of thing too. So yeah.
Here's the 2020, dude. It's going to be a big one for both of us, and
appreciate it, man. Appreciate you having me on here, bro.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your passion for giving back and helping out. You're really such a really good guy, dude. I mean, I understated kind of how much it meant to kind of just meet you at that one pop-up I went to. I didn't really get to talk about it much, but
yeah,
like I've followed you for a long time, more so than other people, and just actually getting to meet you and just you're such a solid guy, man. And it makes my heart warm knowing you're doing that stuff for mental health and recovery, addiction stuff. And then you're trying to have the store, and not only do you find really cool stuff, but you're also a really good guy, and you deserve all the success that's coming to you, man. So
I appreciate it, bro. Mad respect, man. Appreciate you having me on here, bro.
See ya.
All right, bro.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan from the Classic Buffalo Podcast. Wanted to take a second to talk about Anchor, how I'm actually making this podcast happen. Super happy that I'm partnering with them. So Anchor is actually the easiest way to make a podcast. I've done my research. This is basically the best way. I promise. It's going to give you everything you need in one place for free, which is the best part. It's going to have tools, so you don't really need a fancy schmancy recording guy. Anchor's going to be helping you out there, and then they're going to distribute the podcast everywhere to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everything. And then you can also make money with basically no minimum listenership, which is kind of rare. So hop on Anchor as soon as you can. Thanks. So now we have reached the end of the episode. It's time for some reflection, time for just general comments. Dajon, man, I'm super excited and just, privileged and happy that I was able to have a conversation with you, man. To hear that you're about to try and get a store in the next year, hopefully sooner. That's a dream of mine in some form. And I just know how much of a solid guy you are, and to know that you have such a mental health passion as well. Like, that's kind of an added bonus. Knowing that on your way and your journey to have your own store, which could be your ultimate passion, you're still doing some major work and some positive things for the communities. And guys, I just hope as listeners, you can kind of notice like how normalized certain activities and certain things can just lead to bad habits and things in your life. If people are around you that are doing things that are going to hold you back, that are doing things that that could teach you, oh, this is just accepted, that's something you at least should strive to just become aware of. You don't have to correct it. Sometimes there's just people in our lives, but you can always distance yourself from certain types of people, or kind of maybe not completely remove them, right? But you do have some control, maybe not all of the control of the people that you can have in your life. Maybe not growing up necessarily, but, ultimately, there is a point in your life that you will have to make choices. And then at some point, it's not everyone else's fault. There is some responsibility that you do have to take. I don't know what percentage that is. It's different for every person, and there's different arguments scientifically, but he's a good example of taking his life into his own hands. Whether he had to hit rock bottom or not, Dajon's a great guy, and he's giving back to other people, and hopefully you guys, whatever you struggle with, you can give back and support other people who are younger than you, maybe older, but they're going through that thing that you've already been through. Age isn't necessarily a restriction unless you let it. That's a kind of a little cool quote right there. But, try and take control when you can. There are a lot of life situations, especially right now, there's just things we do not have control over. Whether we're going to be on lockdown, as of, I think, starting this Wednesday, Indiana is going to be under pretty much complete lockdown, which at this point, what that means is you can go to the grocery store, banks, medical, for pharmacy. It's not that terrible. It's actually me and my brother were talking. We're like, let's just go hang out at Kroger because they have cafe places there. But, still, if you're, at this point, guys, we need to be, preventative and stuff. I wanted to talk a little bit about the coronavirus and all that stuff and how it's affected me and other people I know, and kind of tips. So, first, just in general, this stuff, many of you are across the country. This stuff is kind of state by state. So if you're in LA or you're in New York City, it's a lot different than if you're in Indiana. There's just different rules, and there's governors who, like, some of them are shut down, some are not. There's all kinds of stuff. But what you can do is practice social distancing, which sucks for me. Is basically I'm finding out I'm an extrovert, like that. I was having a really, really rough day. I think it was earlier this past week. And basically I would be going to this one place for Wi-Fi, and then now they closed down. And so I was coming to the realization that I'd be working in my house for 40 hours for a job, and not really being able to leave. And that scared the hell out of me. And not knowing if this is 2 weeks, if this is 4 weeks, is this 6 months, how long is this? And if you ask anybody, they don't know. And that's what's scary. The experts don't know. But what we can do is just kind of do your best to, like, I'm personally, what I'm doing is I'm going overboard with like FaceTiming, with online gaming with people that I know who play video games. There's like, Words with Friends, what's it called? Play with Friends. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but it's doing that with my parents. I saw somebody, they were doing like FaceTime for just dinner or lunch. I know some people who live with each other, but they're still hanging out, but like 6 feet apart. Please, dear God, please just do that. If you do hang out in the small percentage, I do not recommend that anyway, but if you do, just be apart from each other. The unfortunate part is the incubation period is so long. Basically where it activates is that I could totally have it right now, but I don't have any symptoms, and I'd be passing it on to possibly somebody who could really get hurt from it. That's the sucky part, is that you don't just get sick and you're like, okay, let's just stay away. You could be completely healthy, completely fine, and then you could have it. There was a really cool science video that I saw that was explaining how this stuff works, and how if there is a lily, it's basically exponential growth, and how a lily pad, if it doubles every day, how long before it covers half of the lake? And it's like, out of 60 days, it was like 57, because it becomes halfway full at 57 or 58, and then it becomes full at 60. And that is the problem. And that's why social distancing, when like not a lot of people have it now, is so important, is because at some point, a lot of people are going to get it. And our health system and our healthcare system globally is under-equipped. And so people will start dying when we could have saved them because we didn't have enough beds. That's like a big problem. It's just, there's just a lot going on. And I want to talk about this because there's a lot of people like doing facts and what's, going on, and people are going to lose their jobs, and people are going to be, a lot of stuff's going to be going on, guys. And, I want to be there for you, and I want to keep making these, because for some of these stories, they're going to be helping some of you just kind of get through it. For me, listening to other podcasts has helped me feel like I'm around people. So that's a recommendation I would have. FaceTiming, please try and do that as much as you can. I've been doing Zoom conferencing and sharing screens and watching videos with other people, like watch YouTube videos or movies. That works. Like, you still have water for the most part, food, electricity. If you live in an apartment complex, go walk out on the garage, walk a little bit outside. Cops aren't going to pull you over if you do that. Even in a lockdown, you can walk around. But you're not alone in this. It's going to be tough, but for whatever reason today, I had a really rough day, but I was also thinking about time, and I was thinking about how long this will last. And I was like, okay, let me put into my mind mid-April, and then let me put in my mind May, and let me put in August or something like that. And I was like, what does life look like in September, October, November, December? I would be 27, I'm still the rest of my life. This thing won't last forever. And I want you guys to keep that in mind, that this could just be something you look back and like, yeah, those are really rough. 2 months, 3 months, whatever, 6 months, but that's still only 6 months or 3 months or 2 months or a week or whatever. Changing your perspective on time and taking advantage of this shitty situation is the best thing that I can say. If there's that book you want to write, if there's books you want to read, if that business you want to work on, if there's people you haven't talked to in a long time, reach out to those people. Take advantage of this time. Be safe and protect those people who might be at risk, because that's doing your part. There's some stuff that's just out of our control, and the quicker we can realize there are those stuff and kind of relinquish that control, unfortunately, the better we can make the best of a shitty situation. So a lot of rambling. I hope you got something out of this part that I just did here, as well as, hearing about Dajon's story and gambling, and just how destructive that can be, but also redemptive, and how he's kind of dealt with everything. So, reach out to him, buy some stuff from him. Why not? Support him if you're in Columbus or the Ohio area. He's a cool guy. So, if you'd like to be on the podcast, I'm obviously free after work now, and we'll do like a Skype call, whatever. If you're feeling alone, you are not. I can try and be there for you. it's always good to just kind of reconnect with some of you guys, because a lot of you guys have also just been previous friends of mine or still are. Just be kind of cool to hang out. So, but we can talk about anything. Your story, talk about this crazy coronavirus, whatever you want, but we'll go swimming. So hit me up on Instagram at Classic Buffalo. And until next time, honestly, I might post this Thursday. I haven't decided yet. Depends if I can get more people to record on the podcast, but I will be posting every week for sure. So worst case, next Monday. Best case, this Thursday. Bye, guys.